What kind of relationship were you all in now?
It's supposed to be in the one night stand,
You said something to do.
Something to do, like a, just a fling.
Okay, it started off as just a casual fling.
Yes.
Do you remember the day she told you she was pregnant? Oh, I think this is it. I think I'm gonna have him. What do you do from that point? Get in a car?
Right.
Get in a taxi?
Car.
So then at that point, why wasn't he called?
This man called me and said, you can't even sing. You sing
she got mad about that.
Long as I sure did get mad. He told me I couldn't sing and I'm just trying to sing for the God.
Wow, this never ends.
Mr. Burrage felt he was being played for a fool by the woman he loved. He dragged Miss Stephanies to court to take his name out of the birth certificate because he was very certain he wasn't and couldn't be the father of her child. Miss Stephanies was tired of all the embarrassment Mr. Burrage was dropping on her table. All she wanted to do was prove the child was his.
Mr. Burrage, you've dragged Miss Stephens to court because you say you're being played for a fool. And when today's DNA results prove that you are not her daughter, Phelan's father, you demand that your name be removed from her birth certificate and you be reimbursed for the past 8 months of child care expenses. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
Mr. Burrage started his story by letting the judge know he never had his father sign his birth certificate, and all he wanted to do was be a good guy to Ms. Stephanies' baby. Even though he had his doubts, he still went on to put his signature on the birth certificate.
I want to be a good guy and do the right thing by signing the birth certificate because on my birth certificate, my father didn't sign my name.
At the point that you signed the birth certificate, did you have doubt?
Yes, Your Honor.
But you did it anyway?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you understand by doing so that you would now be the legal father of this child?
Yes, Your Honor.
And that's the way the court would acknowledge you.
Yes,
you
Your Honor.
are the father.
Yes, Your Honor.
But you don't believe you're the biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
As you would expect, Mr. Burrage and Ms. Stephanies got into an argument about how they didn't trust each other. Ms. Stephanies couldn't understand why a man she knew was there throughout the pregnancy process was starting to deny her baby. I mean, it's not like she forced him to sign the birth certificate. He did it on his own.
You was there, you signed the birth certificate, cut the umbilical cord. I didn't force you to do anything. You chose to do that willingly because you felt, obviously, that she was your child.
That because I was having unprotected sex with you, and it's a slight possibility that the child might have been man, but, I was with my girl for 2 years. And I just feel like, you was sleeping with this guy would make you think he wasn't a father. You was having unprotected with him.
So wait, let me understand this. What kind of relationship were you all in now?
It's supposed to be in the one night stand,
You said something to do.
The judge had to cut into their pointless argument and try to understand what kind of relationship they had. For Ms. Stephanies, she felt she was in a really committed relationship with him. But that wasn't the case for Mr. Burrage. He felt it was just a fling and claimed he already had a girlfriend.
Fernando, we was together all the time. It wasn't no one night stand. We was together consistently every day. My mom was there with my kids.
All the time.
Did you think you all were in a relationship?
I didn't think we were in a relationship, but I thought it was more because I knew that my intentions was to make it more than what it was.
But you knew I had another girl, and you also said this to me, pillow talking, like you gonna try to take me away from my girl. You know what I'm saying? Trying to set me up, trying to trap me.
Mr. Burrage didn't waste any time bringing out the cards where he claimed Ms. Stephanies was messing with other guys he didn't know of. He claimed he would constantly see multiple guys in his neighborhood bragging about how they kicked it in bed with Ms. Stephanies, and he just couldn't believe the child was his.
Yeah, Shauna, because I didn't know how many guys she slept with. Guys coming out the blue in the neighborhood while I stayed, just come out the blue. I hit that, 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 I hit that.
He's going off what other people say, and he's going off what other people saying. Ask him, does he know anything that's for sure, not what people are saying.
Mr. Burrage, what do you know for sure? Do you have any proof of this?
You could tell Mr. Burrage wanted nothing to do with her baby. He wasn't only accusing her of being with several other men, apparently. He had proof to back up his accusations. But when he stood up to show the judge his proof, they were nothing of value. Trust me.
The other guy has light eyes.
Yes, Your Honor. And for one, Your Honor, I'm brown-skinned, Your Honor.
Light brown eyes.
Hey, the guy got light-skinned complexion, Your Honor.
So these are all the factors you believe that add up so that you're not Phelan's father.
Yes, Your Honor. And, Your Honor, people say the baby looked just like him, Your Honor.
People say, you see, he keep bringing up.
What have people told you?
Everything was going really well for them when the baby was initially born. Ms. Stephanies could definitely remember the good times. But that changed when they got into a heated argument in front of Ms. Stephanies' family. He felt disrespected, and from that day on, he refused to take care of the child till he got a DNA test done.
All is a joy. We go to my mom's house, we're celebrating. So we're drinking. Me and Mr. Burrage ended up getting into an argument. I seen some text messages in his phone from another female, so I confronted him on that. He got this big thing. I guess he thought I tried to in front of my family, front him off in front of my family. So he just went off, said, oh, from day one, she's not my baby and I want a DNA test.
Well, all eyes were now looking at Mr. Burrage. Ms. Stephanies dropped a truth bomb that shocked even the judge. She said, aside from the baby in question, she was also 5 months pregnant with another baby that belonged to Mr. Burrage. Oh, trust me, the case took a different turn.
I had a bad past. I didn't have several women, before her, and she didn't have several men. And I didn't try to judge that against her, but I'm steady hearing. And it just put back in my head.
It's a bag of what he said. My mother or my biological mother or father didn't raise me. I was a foster child. My biological mom wasn't in my life, nor my father. I didn't meet him till I was 12.
Ms. Stephanies' sister also claimed that she was positive. The baby belonged to Mr. Burrage. She said she knew her sister like the back of her hand, and if she had been messing with someone else, she would definitely know, but that wasn't the case.
You wasn't up in the room sleeping with us.
I'll be my sister every day. I know my sister like the back of my own hand. If she was messing with anyone, she'd confide in me. I feel that Fernando is insecure with himself. He listens to what everybody telling him. The guys know that he's insecure with himself because he's not attractive. So they get in his head and say, oh, that is, the baby look just like me. The baby looks just like me.
The moment of truth was finally here. It's time to see what the future holds for them. Would Mr. Burrage end up being the father, or has Ms. Stephanies been lying all this while? Well, let's find out.
Mr. Burrage, you are her father.
Thank you, John.
Is it?
I tell him all the time, misery loves company. Of course, don't nobody want to see you happy.
There was so much at stake in this case, believe me. As he claimed, Mr. Horne had a wild weekend a couple of decades ago, but now finds himself denying a son that resulted from his adventurous weekend with Ms. Mannion. Ms. Mannion wasn't denying that she also remembers the wild weekend, but she is beyond certain the child belongs to Mr. Horne.
Mr. Horne, you had a wild weekend 3 decades ago and now find yourself in court to prove that you are not the biological father of Ms. Mannion's 29-year-old son, Andrew. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
You will meet him for the very first time in a moment, but say today's DNA test will prove you are not his dad.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, 5 years ago, Mr. Horne was at work when he received one of the most shocking phone calls from a family member of his. The person asked him if he remembered Ms. Mannion's name, but he said he was pretty young at the time and his lifestyle was nothing to write home about, so remembering her name was nearly impossible.
I was at work. I got a phone call from a family member who never calls me at work. Asked me if I remembered a certain name, which was her name, and I was like, you know how I was back then. I really don't have a clue who you're talking about. And so she mentioned a couple other names, and that kind of rung a bell, and told me that she got a phone call from Mr. Haight saying that I might be his father.
Well, after getting the shocking news that he might have a son, he picked up his phone and told her son that his mother had been with several men and there was no way he could be his father. Well, Ms. Mannion dropped her own truth bomb, and trust me, it was heavy.
He is the father because I was in another relationship and a paternity test did come out that the other guy was not the father. And there was only 2 people that I was with during that time.
So there were 2 people you were with, and you said you had a DNA test on the other one, and so you feel like it has to be Mr. Horne from this point.
Judge Lauren didn't have the time to listen to their rants. Now she wanted to know what kind of relationship they had and how they got themselves into such a messy situation with a child not knowing his father. Well, the story begins.
He showed up. I didn't really have a clue who she was. We started chatting. She kept coming on to me.
That
I
is a
found
lie.
out she was a friend of mine's, girlfriend or dating. They were dating or whatever. He was in California. So she kept coming on to me. The more we drank, I drank quite a bit. Passed out. I woke up to the best alarm clock ever.
Oh, no. I do not do that kind of stuff.
That was beyond shocking to hear. Mr. Horne was then asked if he ever got to know that Ms. Mannion was ever pregnant. He claimed that information was only made available to him after she had given birth to her son, but they never had a romantic relationship.
I found out that she was pregnant after she had the child. I ran into the dude that she was dating at the time. He said he took a DNA test, but he never seen the results, so therefore he could not be the father. I call it like I see it, she's a hoe.
Okay.
So there's no way I could be the dad.
Okay.
We gotta come up with a new word. Just work with me here.
All right.
But there was a plot twist here. Ms. Mannion claimed that when she initially gave birth, she didn't think Mr. Horne was the father. She had a DNA test done on the man she believed was the father, but she never saw the results. So how does she know that guy isn't the father? I'm speechless.
You thought someone else was the father. You had him take a DNA test, but you never saw the results. Did you ever see Mr. Horne after that, Miss Mannion?
No, I had no way to get a hold of him. All I know is my mother told me that he contacted them and even left his name, his phone number for when my child gets older to contact them.
Guess what? Ms. Mannion's son was in the courtroom. As you would expect, Judge Lauren asked him to come in, as she intended to find the truth and try to figure out who was lying in her courtroom. Oh, trust me, a lot of lies were told.
Mother and father, so you called them mom and dad.
Correct.
Then, when you went to live with your mother, she was married, and so then you thought your stepdad was your dad.
Correct.
And then when they broke up, that's when you realized he was not your father either.
That is correct.
What did your mother tell you at that point?
I asked her who he was, and she gave me the name Kevin Horne the very first time.
The first time you asked?
The first time I asked.
And she had absolutely no doubt in her mind.
Well, the tables were turning, and it was starting to look like Ms. Mannion had been the one lying in the courtroom after all. She never told her son that there was a possibility that another man could be his father. He didn't even get to see his birth certificate until he was 18 years of age.
When I went to get a birth certificate for an ID, it was the first time I found out that.
You saw your birth certificate for the first time, how old?
17, 18.
So when you went to get your ID was the first time you ever seen your birth certificate?
Correct.
And when you looked at the name of the father listed on there, you didn't know
Kevin Horne.
It wasn't Kevin Horne. Did you ask your mother?
I did.
You could see in her son's eyes that he was tired of not knowing the identity of his biological father. All he was hoping and praying for in that courtroom was that Mr. Horne turned out to be his real father, and his search had finally come to an end.
Any proof?
Yeah, you're right.
So then that leaves him in a position where he can't fully accept that truth. Even if it is true, he can't fully accept it because he can't see the paperwork.
I understand.
Okay, Mr. Haight, what are you hoping for today?
I'm hoping that I actually have found my father.
So since you were 12 years old, you've been carrying the name Kevin Horne in the back of your mind.
Correct.
Well, it's time we brought the cartoons down on this plot twist, wouldn't you say? It was time to find out the truth and know if the craziness was all worth it. The moment of truth is here, people. Brace yourselves for the results.
Mr. Horne, you are his father.
I told you. I told you.
We got this one, all right?
Yeah.
Ms. McIntyre and her mother were absolutely certain that Mr. Wilson was her baby's biological father. She claimed the only reason he wasn't accepting the baby was because he wanted to live a single life. But Mr. Wilson had more than enough proof to make him certain he couldn't be the father.
Ms. McIntyre, you and your mother stand before me claiming that you are 100% certain that Mr. Wilson is your 3-year-old son, Jashawn's biological father. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
You say the only reason he has doubt is because he wants to live the single life.
Yes. Absolutely.
All right, Mr. Wilson, you say you have more evidence than this court has ever seen before.
Their relationship started on Facebook, and Ms. McIntyre was already in love with this young man. In no time, their conversation got pretty intense, and Mr. Wilson was already telling her he would give her the world. Well, that never really happens now, does it?
Talking on Facebook, he shared a couple of pictures with me. He shared a picture like this. I thought he was very cute. He said he was gonna take care of me and my daughter.
On Facebook, he was already gonna take care of you and your daughter?
Yeah, he sold me a dream.
You had never met?
No, we never met before.
Okay.
So we finally wanted to meet up, and when he got out the bus, I seen this. He catfished me. I didn't know, I didn't expect this.
As I said, it was all too good to be true. After having their cute conversations on Facebook, it was finally time for them to meet in person. When they finally did, Ms. McIntyre couldn't believe what she saw. She claimed she had been catfished.
I'm like, what happened? Like, I wanted to see this, but I got this.
Is it a totally different picture, or is it just good angles?
It's good angles.
What can I show
or something?
You?
I don't know.
Did you try to catfish her, Mr. Wilson?
No, lies all the way around. I'm sexy. Why I need to catfish somebody?
Right.
Is you serious? Okay, lies.
Really?
Really. You saw what you saw.
Mr. Wilson was being completely honest in the courtroom. Well, at least so he claimed. He said he wasn't in the courtroom to deny the child and say he wasn't the father, but he just had doubts and he needed to be sure he wasn't taking someone else's child, which, if you ask me, makes a lot of sense. But where are these doubts coming from?
To say I'm denying my kid, but at the same time, too, Miss McIntyre, yeah, kind of ratchet at the same time.
When you say kind of ratchet, are you indicating or inferring that she sleeps around?
Yes, yes, Sean.
I don't believe
that he's saying that. This guy is full of it.
So, Ms. McIntyre, how certain are you that Mr. Wilson is Jayshon's father?
100% sure.
Jumping right in after Ms. McIntyre gave birth, she had her baby quite well, and all right, but the question now was, did she tell Mr. Wilson she had a baby? She claimed she did, but Mr. Wilson slammed back at her and said she never reached out to him at all.
Did you tell Mr. Wilson?
Nope. Nope, not until after the fact. They claim that they didn't have no way.
Are you serious?
They claimed they didn't have no way of getting in contact with me. They called me after the fact he was conceived. I wasn't at the hospital.
No, he was not at the hospital because
none of that, because they didn't want me to be there.
He didn't have.
Period.
Why wouldn't we want him to be there?
Period, because she don't like me, just like I don't like her.
He didn't have a ride. That was his
excuse.
excuse.
Well, it was from argument to the next with Ms. McIntyre, her mom, and Mr. Wilson wanting to rip out their throats. Mr. Wilson's name was never put on the child's birth certificate because he never made it to the hospital, but since the baby came into the world, he hasn't done a single thing.
Hasn't done anything for him?
Not to my knowledge.
And believe it or not, if this baby not mine, I'm not going to
But it is yours.
I'm not.
But it is yours.
You haven't did anything.
I got a 1-year-old daughter. I take care of faithfully.
You never did anything anyway.
It is yours.
So I want to understand your doubt, Mr. Wilson. I want to understand. Why do you doubt Jayshon is your biological son?
He was ready to spill everything he believed to be true. Mr. Wilson claimed that the proof that made him feel the baby wasn't his was the fact that he kept getting texts from people he knew, saying that Ms. McIntyre had been sleeping with several other men.
Okay, supposedly, I got texts that somebody that I personally knew face-to-face was messing around with Miss McIntyre around the same time I was messing around with Miss McIntyre.
So do you have that proof here?
Okay, then, hold on, not only that.
You have that proof here? No.
Not only that, though. My thing is this, not only that, I have called Miss McIntyre in her phone
Where's the text?
A couple of times.
Well, he did let the cat out of the box, and he sure didn't feel bad for it. He claimed after he found out Ms. McIntyre had been cheating on him, he went on what I would like to call a cheating spree. Oh, he was sleeping with everybody and anybody he could find.
So yeah, I was hurt. So I went out there, I was super cheating. You know what I'm saying? I served.
Yeah,
super cheating.
When you come back,
I was super cheating.
With every transies, right?
I was super cheating.
You feel me? You come back with 2 transies, right?
Super sleep. I was cheating with everybody and anybody. To be honest with you, I'm gonna be real with you. Because at the point, I'm like, all right, this relationship ain't not going
over. Because super cheating.
Well, the suspense is finally over, and the hassle of who the dad of their child is about to be revealed. It's been a bumpy and funny ride with Mr. Wilson and Ms. McIntyre. All eyes are on the judge as she unleashes the truth. Get ready, paternity folks.
You are his father.
Told you. Told you.
That's all I needed to know.
So you ought to be ashamed.
That's all I needed to know.
You ought to be ashamed.
I needed to know that. That's my thing.
Mr. Charisma.
I needed to know that.
Hold on. We starting off wrong. You got the clarity you needed, and Miss McIntyre and Mom, you said you wanted your son to know his father.
He certainly looked angry and was not in that courtroom to joke around. Mr. Burks was in court to prove to everyone that the daughter he raised for 30 years was no longer his child. As if that wasn't crazy enough, he wanted to collect more than $26,000 of the money he paid as child support all the years of Ms. Brown's life.
Claimed to be more than $26,000 in debt due to child support for the defendant, Ms. Brown, who you say is definitely not your biological daughter. You are here to prove that in court so you can return home and get the debt erased from your record. Ms. Brown, you state that for 30 years you've known only one man to be your father, and you are devastated that he is now claiming you are not his biological daughter.
Ms. Brown was beyond hurt and disappointed by her father. I mean, who wouldn't be? A man who raised you all your life wakes up one morning and says he is no longer your father. The big question then stands. What changed that made Mr. Burks deny being her biological father all of a sudden?
30 years old. 30 years old. And I have to deal with this, you know, and then he brings up talking about it was a one-night stand with my mom and all that kind of stuff like that. It wasn't no one-night stand. He had a relationship with her, and he know it. You know it. It hurts me so much, and I have a lot of pain. You know, it's ridiculous to me. I'm just hurt. I'm just hurt inside. I really am.
All your life, you've known him to be your father.
Mr. Burks gets down to how he met Ms. Brown's mom and how he was trying to protect his military career. Oh, and by the way, he was married when he had the affair. In his defense, his career and marriage meant a lot to him, and he wasn't ready to destroy them.
You didn't. Y'all had a relationship. Yeah, they had a relationship.
I didn't have no relationship.
Yeah, you did. Yes, Yes, you
wasn't there. How you know?
You wanted to
You
marry
wasn't
her
even there.
because she told me.
I
She ain't
know
gonna
for a
lie.
fact because
She's not gonna lie.
I dropped her
She's
off
not
on
gonna
at
lie.
the house
She's
and
not
left.
Hold
gonna
on,
lie.
Miss Brown, let me hear what he's saying. And so, did you see her again?
Maybe.
Mr. Bucks was firm on his claim. All right, trust me, his name wasn't even on Ms. Brown's birth certificate to begin with. So how did he then become the father? Apparently, the affair he tried to hide from his wife resulted in a baby. Since he was not around, Ms. Brown's mother had a court case in which they pronounced Mr. Burks as the father.
There is an order establishing the parent-child relationship, and you are responsible for child support.
Yeah.
So, at some point, did you acknowledge paternity, or was there a court case that you didn't show up?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's what happened.
So
I was
you're
in the
named the
military. I
father
was
by
away.
default.
I was away. They had the court without me even being there. They had already been to court, determined I was behind a real rich of $40,000. I'm thinking, man, look at here. How am I gonna pay $40,000 all these years?
His stories were starting to sound a little too different. After a while, first, he said he didn't want anybody to find out about the baby because he wanted to protect his family and military career. But again, he accepted the child and decided he was going to pay child support. Something just wasn't right with his story.
Because, I wanted to keep it hush-hush. I wanted to deal with it myself. I wanted to make sure I went to her mother, I gave her money, I bought diapers and everything.
So basically, you didn't want the fact that you had cheated on your wife to come out.
Exactly, yeah.
Right. Okay. But you never accepted deep down that she was your biological daughter.
Right.
Here's a news flash. Their relationship wasn't always this toxic, trust me. There were times when they bonded and things seemed to be pretty okay at the time. All that soon came to change when Mr. Burks found out Ms. Brown was attracted to the female gender. He couldn't stand the fact that she was a lesbian.
He lived his life as a pastor, all that stuff like that. He didn't like it. He talked bad to me. He was ugly on the phone. When he found that out, he was very disrespectful. And ever since that day, it's like we have a connection. Every time he get mad, something I tell him, he'll call me. He's a negative person. He expects me to call him and blow his phone up. I'm not gonna do that because every time I talk to him, it's always drama.
The big question in everyone's minds is very straightforward. Was he denying her because he wasn't her father? Or was he denying her because he did not approve of her attraction to women? It's been one hell of a battle with Mr. Burks and Ms. Brown. Let's see if they are related.
Mr. Burks, you are the father.
See, I told you, and you sat up there and do me like this. That what you gonna do? See, it's all about my life now.
You're not the first man, nor the last man or last parent to have a child. That's just a firecracker. There's something in the way you approach.
First up in this paternity run, we got a mother and godmother fighting over the affection of a young woman, but the irony is that daddy is missing out on the picture. And when that happens, you know where to head to. Let's start this psycho ride on this somber note.
I grew up not knowing my dad, and I only had two moms in my life. My God, there was some doubt about who exactly was my father. And my mom had introduced me to a gentleman, and I just did not feel in my heart.
Miss Frazzuni was father. Boot. The guy turned out to be not. The good any connection with that guy. After that episode, the plaintiff was told about Mr. Bomar, who was in the court to be tested.
Things about my life and the things that I've had happen in my life, I just feel...
After listening to Miss Frazzuni, the judge called up the co-plaintiff, who told the court about how she herself was intimate with the defendant, and both created a false story to sell to Miss Bailey's daughter. Well, the defendant didn't like this narrative and responded like this.
That 30 years ago, why did she just bring it up last year?
Is there a reason why you just brought it up?
To stick another dagger in my back against my daughter. As far as stories people have told her, that's just what they were, stories.
Miss Bailey testified to the court that there was no way that Mr. Bomar could be her daughter's father, as she was intimate with multiple people at the time, including her friend at the time, and she blamed Miss Hallams for the reckless choices she made.
I was 21 years old. Maxine was 30.
No, I wasn't.
29, however old.
I was 20.
She was older.
I was 27.
She was way older, and I just let her lead me.
She further pleaded that her daughter was being manipulated into thinking that Mr. Boomer was the father by her own friend. Miss Frazzoni, on the other hand, was not ready to believe a word coming from her mother and wanted the alleged father to be tested.
Actual evidence.
And I understand that. Because of my past lifestyle, there is reason to doubt.
The next judge asked Maxine to vouch for Bomar, and this ticked the mama at the podium really hard. She totally blew off in the court, blaming her ex-over for poisoning her daughter like this.
We want to have our own relationship. She's done this for years. I know I wasn't the best mother.
Been for
I know,
years.
and I appreciate this woman for being there, because she was. But the meddling and the trying to compete
and the remembering
for my daughter's love, this is my child. I had her.
See,
and you need to stay in your lane.
Oh, the woman went ballistic in a matter of seconds. Maybe she was a little paranoid about sharing her own daughter with another person. Miss Bailey was screaming at the top of her lungs. Even Judge Lake was stunned at the show going on in her own courtroom.
But you still need to stay in your place.
They did a DNA.
Okay. Well, you ain't the daddy, that's for damn sure.
You ain't been no mother.
So I've been her mother till I've had.
And both of you
Ever
guys.
since
Can you go stand in between them?
You ain't never been a mother. You should have went and had a baby.
Right.
Order in the courtroom, Jerome stays between them. All of this was also unacceptable for the judges as a 20-year-old woman was standing crying. Her love item.
Love. Now, courtroom, but it don't have nothing to do with her.
This back and forth is clearly going nowhere. So the judge got the alleged father in the court, who told the judge how he had no idea about the young plaintiff, but since they got connected, and by now they had developed a bond with each other, Mr. Bomar was also hoping to be the father. Let's see what the DNA result holds.
Mr. Bomar, you are not her father. I'm sorry to you both.
I'm more sorry, to him, because, we just had established a great relationship.
Malicious rumors made the son sue her mother and sister. In this case, you can see Ms. Chandler and her boyfriend dragged his mother and sister in the courtroom due to the damage they have intentionally done to the Kupola's reputation. On the other hand, to support the maniac actions, the defendants claimed that baby mama has manipulated Mr. Hilliard. Let's move to this lunatic episode.
Miss Chandler, you and your boyfriend, Mr. Hilliard, are suing his sister and mother for defamation of character. You claim they are spreading malicious rumors regarding the paternity of your son, Brandon Jr. You are seeking the results of a paternity test to prove that your baby is indeed Mr. Hilliard's son. You are asking the court for damages in the amount of $500. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
The trial began on this note. It was revealed that the plaintiff is promiscuous and has been busy with so many guys, like she's got to play with them on a racing track. However, the mommy admitted the claims and put on the break show like this.
Annie has always gone to the racetrack, and she talks to guys on Facebook, texting guys, and she has a lock on her cell phone to where my brother can't see her phone. She's cheated on my brother. He stayed at my house with his kids.
Now, what proof do you have of that?
She's admitted it to me.
No, I have not.
You slept with that guy at your house. You left Brandon and the kids at my house.
We were not together.
Oh! Miss Chandler took over and bashed the defendant over her interference in her life. I mean, girl, that's fair enough. Do good. Have a good situation for the psycho girl. Go get your life, lady. Let others do their things themselves.
You
We're
should
getting back
not be
together.
talking about me sleeping around.
What I do with my life is my business.
3 babies, 3 baby daddies. I got 3 babies with the same man.
Okay, we'll see if that's true, won't we?
Even after that, the supposed auntie didn't stop to put her leg in the middle and asserted that the child's mommy has been dating some other guy when his brother was away. But Judge Lake had to spill the beans that she needed to keep her nosy behavior shut down for good like that.
Horne with his sick son.
He broke up with me and I dated him for 3 days.
You seem really into what's going on with them.
It's my little brother.
What's it to you, really? I mean, he is his own man. He might have made his own choices.
It's my brother. She's from day one. I've seen that she's used him. She holds those kids over his head all the time. She says, well, if you don't pay me this much, you're not seeing your kids.
Oh my. Here came another out-of-mind person in support of the defendant. The alleged granny claimed that they were robbed, and his son had also left them helpless. But Ms. Chandler denied her claims and asserted that they always go nuts when things come to her. So it seems she has brought just more drama to this testimony instead of a sense like this.
I feel that we were robbed.
You guys have always been able to come around.
No.
You chose not to.
You guys could come around, but you didn't want to.
You're the one that told me I don't need a family. I have a family.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because you turned your back on me, attacking me, coming to my house, trying to take
then
my
why don't you
stepson.
keep that tater trap of yours shut?
Despite these accusations, it was revealed that Ms. Hilliard had said crap about babies and claimed that Ms. Chandler's babies can never be her grandchildren, even if the DNA test determines that they are. Oh, so why is she holding up crazy grudges against baby mama, or they both have gone crazy for real?
A punk, You told me that he'd never be a part of you, even if this test comes back that it's your grandson, right?
I never said that.
You and Gina.
No.
Yeah.
No, I told you that I would still be his aunt, whether it was his or not.
Up next, the plaintiff told the court that the defendant's never-ending and lots of drama has split the family apart. And yeah, I have to say that too. No one can tolerate that much torture.
Other than this drama,
When are you together? You do a lot of drama. You and him broke up because of you, not because of me.
Because 4 years of this, how can you be with somebody?
But yeah.
Let's use proper language for the court. I know you're upset.
But 4 years of this split us apart because we can't even go a day without arguing.
Oh my. Guys, hold your ears because what next you are going to hear will definitely blow your mind. Miss Hilliard, have you lost your mind, or are you even in your senses? I mean, I am wondering if they even have the court's environment toxic. What could they have done at their home?
Like Miss Chandler uses your grandkids as pawns.
Yes, ma'am. Just to get whatever she needs out of Brandon.
Give me specifics.
I don't think so, because nothing I need that I don't already have. I got 3 beautiful kids, and they love me, and I don't care what you say.
I know one thing you need.
I have never
and it's
used
better
my
shut
kids
up
as
before
a
I give
pawn
it to
for
you.
Back and forth accusations were not helping in solving this exhausting family dispute, so Judge Lauren dismissed them and asked to get those results to settle this conflict once and for all. Let's watch if the DNA results will be able to change both grandma and aunt for babies.
In the case of Brandon Jr., Mr. Hilliard, your wait is over. You are the father.
Thank you. No apologize.
I'm sorry.
That's your baby.
Anger and animosity serve no good, especially when there is a serious illness riding on paternity. And that is the case for Miss Walker as father finding the truth about her alleged father. She has turned to Mr. Simmons for closure, but his wife does not like this dynamic.
Simmons, you contend that there's absolutely no way your husband is Miss Walker's biological father.
No way.
You argue Miss Walker needs to let go of this fantasy and move on to another candidate capable of having children. But don't believe he is.
So the trial begins with the defendant giving the cold shoulder to Miss Walker, claiming her husband was incapable of having children at all. But the plaintiff had a hard time believing it. She can tell the court how Mrs. Simmons' sister was the one who reached out to her and claims Miss Walker as their brother's daughter. And this fact rubbed the wifey real hard.
I said, first of all, your sister should have called you first for permission to give out your number. You have a wife. I believe that's disrespectful to me.
Asking for your wife's permission to talk to your own daughter? That sounds odd, isn't it? But Mrs. Simmons was not ready for some random girl to pop into their life. They articulated her reservation quite loudly, which drove Miss Walker to the edge of crying. And this made the judge go like this.
Miss Simmons, with all due respect, I have to ask you, are you upset that she made contact, or are you upset that your husband may be her biological father?
No, none of that. None of that, because he wants to be a father.
Hold on. You say none of that.
None of that. I'm not upset.
So what are you upset for?
Who knew that being left out could boil up such rage in anyone, and some stranger looking for her father would have to pay for it? Nonetheless, the plaintiff told the court that the defendant's husband was the one who reached out to her after taking her number from his own sister. Listening to this, Judge realized that it was high time to get the potential father into the court.
Can I give you a hug?
The reason Mr. Simmons believed to be her father was the affair with Miss Walker's mother. Even though it just lasted for weeks, it did have baby-making potential. A little odd confession for a TV show, right? But that is how reality TV goes. And FYI, Mrs. Simmons was no fan of the story.
Because he just said that they were.
Well, Miss Walker, yes, we understand that it was not a one-night drunken booty call as Miss Simmons suggested. That's all I was saying.
He said 3 days a week and they spend the weekend together.
Well, your husband already testified. They courted each other. They courted each other.
That's not no relationship.
Well, ma'am, it doesn't matter if you like it or not. Your husband is in for this. It further revealed that Miss Walker and Mr. Simmons shared a lot of similarities. They both had asthma, and the same cancer gene ran in their family, which deepened their belief of being related.
Whether or not she is your biological child, she's still a young woman with very real health issues, and a lot rides on the results we present here. We say all the time, there are no small claims in paternity court. However, in this situation, we can truly say your life.
However, everyone, including the plaintiff, could not understand why Mrs. Simmons was giving her a hard time. Because anyone in their right mind would get threatened by someone's daughter, would they? Apparently, the enraged wife could not step down a notch.
Done. I've been telling him, get a blood test. Stop signing on the dotted line. Stop claiming kids unless you know they're yours.
About to you? You got 2 kids that's not his, and
they mine though. They mine though. They mine, and he raised them. They mine. He raised them from birth. They mine.
Hold up, woman. You might burst my eardrum. Goodness, she doesn't know when to stop, does she? Her attitude had the judge totally baffled. I mean, who wouldn't get? Confused with a grown woman acting like a stubborn child?
That's ridiculous. You all are acting like you all are 2 women he's involved with intimately. This is a young woman. What I am observing is a level of animosity.
Oh, boggy Mrs. Simmons even had the judge all rushed up. All of her corners were just to compete with Pleiades, and she had no care about her suffering from illness or finding the roots. Mrs. Walker's only hope of closure is that envelope.
Mr. Bruce Simmons,
I wish to put it better, but
I know you're looking for closure. You need the medical information.
To determine about the deceased son's legacy, Ms. Bank came to the court in order to discover whether what Ms. Hawkins alleged is true or a big hoax. The supposed grandma claimed that the baby mama is just trying to pin the baby on her deceased son, whereas the mother alleged that Mr. Darrell acknowledged and his mother is denying the child right. Let's move to the case.
Ms. Banks, you say the defendant is pinning her baby on your son, Darrell, who was tragically murdered before her child was born. You say Darrell told you he didn't believe he was the father, and you intend to prove that today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
The trial began with Ms. Banks's explanation of why she is denying the baby Jasani. It turned out that before his tragic death, her son expressed paternity doubts. She claimed that they had a wishy-washy relationship, but how does she know so much about them? Was she playing with them?
Your Honor, I don't believe that Jasani is my grandson, and I'm here to prove it today for the simple fact that Jada and my son had a very rocky relationship. Me and my son were really, really close, and we were really close. We talked all the time, every day. He would just call me to tell me that he loved me. I never knew of Jada really until right before my son's death.
Next up, Mommy testified, and while giving the relationship recap, she stated the whole opposite story. It slipped out that the potential baby dad acknowledged the paternity and they had goo-goo eyes for each other that made her certain that Mr. Darrell is the father like that.
He and I had a strong relationship. We were on and off. I loved him very much. He loved me very much. When I told him I was pregnant, he wanted me to keep it. We got back together and we started working on it.
When you were broken up, were you all seeing other people?
Yes, he was seeing someone else and so was I.
And so if you got pregnant during the time you broke up and you were seeing someone else, could this other person potentially be your child's father?
No, Your Honor.
As the trial proceeded, it turned out that grandmother thinks that Ms. Hawkins is the reason behind all of her devastating loss because she was the last person who was with his son before his terrible death. Oh, come on, ladies. What are you holding on to each other? Watch how things went off with this testimony.
And you were the last person to see him.
Yes. Correction. I was not the last person to see him.
The
people
murderers
that
were.
did that was the last people to see him.
You're right.
Ms. Hawkins and Ms. Banks, let me try to get an understanding as to what's going on. I understand.
She feels like I'm the reason her
is.
son is dead. That's how she feels. You're really the reason your son is dead.
I'm not the reason he's dead.
The frustrated plaintiff revealed that the defendant didn't even name her son after Mr. Darrell, and it is causing doubts regarding the baby's paternity. Whereas baby mommy explained the whole part of her side that led to heated up the situation like this, and there's nothing that could stop Granny and Mommy.
Name him Jasani. When you know that my son is dead, the whole time you were pregnant, you told us you were gonna name that baby Darrell Ray Daniel III. That's why his name is Triple D.
Can I speak? Okay, Darrell told me out his own mouth he don't want his son. I said, if it's a boy, do you want him named after you?
Over and over, things were getting more intense. What Ms. Hawkins claimed next will blow your mind. It looked like the plaintiff, whatever the plaintiff was doing, was due to the biggest loss she had to face. But why threaten anyone? Well, that's what psychopaths do.
Darrell had just passed. She was going through a lot, calling me, picking fights with me, threatening me, making me feel I don't know you. Like you said, I never met you in person. I don't know you, and I'm going to jump on a plane to come move with you.
I was threatening you?
No.
For what?
Even so, those intense claims, the plaintiff didn't take a seat. She started a wrangle in the courtroom, and Judge Lake had to hop up into a squabble to cut them off. Yes, ladies, please stop. Don't start over and over again like that.
Yeah, but at
all that mouth she got?
That's a lot of pressure.
She got
I had a lot of pressure on me at that time.
She wasn't scared. She lied. Look at all that mouth she got. Where you see scared at?
Well, I wasn't gonna say she was scared. What I was going to say, Miss Banks, is that at early 20s, you just don't always make the right calls.
However, during their non-stop arguments, it was revealed that the baby mama filed for child support when his son passed away. But baby mama turned the whole show with her logical explanation like this.
By law, if a mother goes down to welfare and file for welfare and get on assistance, the father automatically goes on child support. I explained to them that Daryl passed away. They said, give us his social, we're gonna run it anyway and find his death certificate.
Where could you get that social at? Where you got it from?
Okay, but wait, so then when I called her and got it and they ran it, they said, okay, yes, he passed away. Maybe you can get, I don't know what it's called, but some type of benefits for my son.
Alas, feeling sad for both the plaintiff and the defendant, their ongoing further fuels the whole situation instead of helping to resolve the case. But it was quite evident that they both need to know the results vehemently for baby and his late daddy. So let's go, get those results and see if they will help Granny find some peace or not.
The percentage of relatedness between Miss LaWinda Banks and Jasani Daniel is 99.99%. You are related.
Particular situation, it was honestly very difficult to tell if she had no shame or if she was just very wicked, because she definitely took things to an extreme level. Ms. Davis appeared in court because she claimed she was hurt by Mr. Cole. Mr. Cole didn't deny the fact that he initially accepted being the father of the child, but he uncovered too many facts that just couldn't allow him to keep claiming paternity.
Ms. Davis, you say that after accepting your daughter Autumn, Mr. Cole abruptly ended your relationship, moved out of your home, and is now denying her. You say Mr. Cole is the only man who could be Autumn's father, and you intend to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Mr. Cole, you admit to initially accepting Autumn as yours and even signing her birth certificate.
Ms. Davis couldn't understand why the man who accepted her and her baby was willing to be the father all of a sudden started to deny her and her baby. Looks like there's some serious trouble in paradise, if you ask me. She wasn't just hurt by the situation. She also claimed that Mr. Cole was the only man she was intimate with throughout the period. They were in a romantic relationship, at least so she claimed.
Disappointed how he all of a sudden not claiming my daughter. He is the only man that I've been with since February.
So, Mr. Cole, you're not claiming the baby? You don't think it's yours?
Yes, I claim the baby. I still take care of the baby. And
you do?
Yes. Anything she asks for, I do for the baby.
But you deny that you are her biological father.
I'm just questioning right now because ever since I met her.
From the look in Mr. Cole's eyes, you could tell that he had been through so much in the relationship. Ms. Davis claimed that they met at a basketball game and things kicked off from that point on. She found out she was pregnant and it was like a dream come through for both of them. But nothing good ever lasts forever, right?
Age numbers, and we had chill a couple times.
So you continue this relationship and at some point you find out you're pregnant?
Yes, ma'am. After me and Adrian have sex a couple times in February, I have found out I was pregnant March 21st. I was 4 weeks pregnant.
All right, I want to understand this.
And
you submitted a calendar to the court.
Yes, I also have a calendar.
That outlined your sexual relationship with Mr. Cole.
When Mr. Cole heard the news about Ms. Davis being pregnant, he was excited and didn't doubt the paternity of the child. But the story took a different turn and it was no longer looking pretty. Mr. Cole claimed that while she was just 4 weeks pregnant, random people started to walk up to him and ask him if he was certain that the baby she was pregnant with was his.
Like a week later, and someone walked up to me. She wasn't even pregnant that long, and people were walking up to me saying that the baby might not be mine.
Oh.
And then after a guy wrote her in her messages and was mad that she was pregnant. He wrote her right after she told me she was pregnant.
This text had come through where this man was mad because she didn't tell him and it could be his baby.
Yes.
Secrets can never really stay hidden, especially when you find yourself sitting in the courtroom with Judge Lauren. Mr. Cole found out that she had been intimate with another guy and that the guy in question was very upset that Ms. Davis was pregnant and didn't tell him. As you would expect, Mr. Cole confronted her about the situation and she denied it.
Or asking her questions about the guy, she didn't give me any credible answers that I could believe. So I was really having doubts and I wanted to go get a DNA test myself, but I couldn't really get one.
You couldn't get the DNA test?
They wouldn't let me because I had signed the birth certificate.
Okay, so that's what I want to get to. So, Ms. Davis, once you tell Mr. Cole you're pregnant, initially he accepts it.
Yes.
So you all are going through the process of having a baby. baby?
Yes, Your Honor.
And he's present?
Mr. Cole's doubt had flown up to the roof, especially when he found out that Ms. Davis was no longer trustworthy. His family even tried to convince him that he has no reason to Donut being the father because the child looks just like him, and so he accepts the baby as his. Ms. Davis then uploads a picture of her child, and the guy who texted her before then says the child looks like one of his kids.
Picture on one of her social medias, the same guy who wrote her when she first got pregnant writes her again and says, "Your daughter looks like my kids."
Really?
Yes, Your Honor. I did that because, like he said, people was coming up to him asking him was Adam his, and I just did a split image of those three, and was asking the same people who does Adam look like more, because I'm 100% sure that Adrian is the father of Adam.
The moment of truth was finally here, but the air was thick with uncertainty. Mr. Dansby's emotions were juggling between love for the baby and the fear of a plot twist. Time to see what the future holds for them.
Mr. Cole, you are not the father. Ms. Davis, would you like to finally just lay it on the line and tell the truth?
It hurts. It's embarrassing. I thought he was the father.
This is one of these defining moments in your life, right?
Right.
From this moment forward, you can learn.
Mr. Jones wasn't here to beat around the bush. Oh, trust me, he was as furious as an angry bull that saw a red cloth. From the very beginning, he already believed that there was no way on earth that he could be the biological father. Ms. Turner was beyond desperate to prove to the courtroom that there was only one man who could have fathered her child, and that man was Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, you state you have always believed you are not the father of the defendant's 5-month-old son, Amir. You claim your suspicions were confirmed after receiving a text message just 3 weeks ago. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Turner, you say you are desperate to prove the plaintiff is Amir's father and claim once today's results prove paternity, you need him.
As much as he wanted and was willing to be the father of the child, the doubts in his head were moving like a troubled sea. I mean, it's not like he was just talking out of his imagination. He had proof to show that his doubts were actually validated. He claimed he came across a text message that sent him shockwaves, which made him look at Ms. Turner with a second eye.
3 weeks ago, I received this text message.
What text message is that?
It's from message from Facebook, from somebody I don't even know.
Jerome, let me see that evidence. You say just 3 weeks ago.
Yes, Your Honor.
You get this message.
Yes, Your Honor.
And this message says, why you claiming that baby? Men running in and out of her house. Get a DNA test. Don't be a fool. That is not the message you want to get.
Mr. Jones decided to confront Ms. Turner about the message he got. In Ms. Turner's defense, she claimed she had no idea who sent him such a text, but one thing she was sure about was the fact that there were a lot of people who were jealous of their relationship, both from the male and female aspects.
I don't know who that is, but like I told him, he got so many females. We do got people that's some haters, so it could be a little fake page.
Oh, wait a minute. You said haters?
Yes.
So you think it's a hater just texting him at 12:59 a.m.?
I know for a fact it's a little hater, because I don't even know who the person is. So they made it a little fake page.
It was a male, Your Honor.
So who is the hater that right?
Now, their relationship was what I'd like to call beautiful, but the moment she found out she was pregnant, it was a totally different story. After seeing that text, it was just from one doubt to the next. Guess what? Mr. Jones found another text on his phone, and this time around it was worse than the one he saw before. He found a text from their neighbor asking if he could come around while he was gone.
He had texted her one day when I went to work, like 6 in the morning, right after I left for work, trying to come over.
Trying to come over?
Yeah.
Come over for what?
That's what I'm trying to know. Seen a text message in her phone saying, "Are you okay, sis?" And I'm like, this number is not from any of your brothers. I'm like, who is this? She broke down, got to crying and told me, yes, it was the neighbor. She told me it was the neighbor.
I was crying.
That wasn't the first time something like that was happening in their relationship. Mr. Jones gave an instance where they were sleeping in bed around 4 a.m. and this guy was blowing up Ms. Turner's phone with calls. Now, come on, Ms. Turner, why would your neighbor be calling you at 4 in the morning?
Well, I
Stop
called
calling
bro,
her
he
phone.
think it be going down.
This came from the same guy I told to quit calling her phone once before at
That's
4 in the
he feel
morning.
some type
It
of
was
way
4 in
about
the morning.
everybody.
He had no reason calling her phone and y'all just cool like
It wasn't
that.
no 4 in the morning. It was 7
4 in the
o'clock
morning?
in the morning.
Nah, when he texted your phone.
And he hit my
and
phone
I had
up
to
because
text.
yes, he seen
And I had to text.
Everybody know they can't
Yeah.
talk to me with Rick.
Yeah.
I can't have
Ain't
no
no
neighbor
talking
be
at that
cool
time
with
of night
neighbor.
with my girl.
But what does the neighbor want all these times in the morning at 7 o'clock in the morning?
Ms. Turner had some truth bombs of her own. She wanted to drop in the courtroom. Oh boy, was she angry when she started to talk about Mr. Jones's escapades with other women. She claimed he had other women he was texting in his DMs. Aside from that, he stopped giving her the attention she wanted. So she decided to send one of her ex-boyfriends a sweet good morning text.
This is all the time, same time.
This the
February.
Okay, so
he'll come to my job and chill with me for a little bit. Then he'll be like, "Oh, I'm about to go home and lay down," but he going somewhere else. He making little detours
who else was
over
chilling with
somebody
you at
else's
your
house.
job? Who else was chilling
That's
at
the
you at your
problem.
job?
So since he want to go out and talk to somebody else, so yeah, I got to hit my ex up like, "Good morning."
But you
Why would
love
I
him.
tell you good morning?
But you love him.
Oh,
You still love
he
him.
didn't deserve that no more.
Judge Lauren had seen enough of the lies and disloyalty that had been going on in Mr. Jones and Ms. Turner's relationship. It's finally time to reveal the truth and clear the doubts that were flying about in the courtroom. Who do you think the father of the child is?
Mr. Jones, you are the father.
Thank you. You feel better?
That don't mean all that.
You feel, no, it do. It do.
That just mean the baby mine.
Well, listen.
It do.
Listen. Let's not go back down negative roads.
I'm sorry.
I mean, that's what drives me crazy. We get off a negative road.
This almost felt like betrayal on Mr. Patterson's path after taking care of the baby and making sure he was present every day of the kid's life. Well, guess what? Ms. Knight wakes up one morning and says he isn't the father of her baby. We're about to dive into a tale of delusion. Grab your pie and enjoy the ride, because the things you're going to hear in this case are going to leave you speechless.
Mr. Patterson, you opened your case today to prove that you are 4-year-old DeMarcus Patterson Jr.'s biological father. You named him and have cared for your junior since birth and are furious the defendant now claims another man is his father. Is this correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Knight, you testify that even though your son has Mr. Patterson's name,
We are about to enter the domain of questionable romance, where these guys' relationship wasn't exactly a fairy tale, a saga involving 2 men, a lady, and a 4-year-old boy. Mr. Patterson had been in the child's life since the very first day, and all of a sudden Ms. Knight starts to claim that another man is the father of the child. Can you imagine that? I mean, the real question is, how did all that come to be?
I've been there since birth, since he came out the womb, since he entered this world. When the doctor first, held him up and finally gave him to him, I witnessed him just completely quit crying and looked me dead in my eyes. And at that moment, I knew I became someone's father. So at that moment, like all the doubts that we had before, I just knew like they were just out the window and just, it was gonna leave us a happy family, but
it didn't happen that way.
Not exactly.
And when that baby came,
Well, the doubts and reservations were running pretty deep over here. Mr. Patterson went on a long rant explaining why he had his doubts, and boy did he bag some solid points. Ms. Knight, for no reason, decided she didn't want to be with him anymore and ghosted without leaving a trace of her to reach her. In her defense, she claimed her reason for leaving was because Mr. Patterson cheated on her and she just couldn't forgive him.
I ain't hear from her for a month or two.
so wait, you're saying she just left the house and you didn't hear from her for a month or two?
Yeah, I was supposed to pick up from work, but my grandma made me feel worse about it because she was like, she knew she was too fast for me anyway. I'm just going by what
So, Ms. Knight, where did you go? What is going on here?
I decided to leave because I wasn't over the fact that he cheated on me with this female. So yeah, I did that. But I found out I was pregnant while I was with Ladarius.
Okay, I want to go step by step because I want to understand.
Things started to take a different turn as the truth started to unfold. Still carrying the thought that Mr. Patterson cheated on her while she was kicking it in bed with the new man she moved in with. She told him that if he liked, he could get her pregnant. Trust me, Ms. Knight was one hell of a woman. Some way Ms. Knight and Mr. Patterson were able to amend things and get back together. But there was no denying the possibility that this baby could possibly belong to another man.
I told him, go ahead and get me pregnant. That's what I told him. And as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I called DeMarcus and let DeMarcus know. I'm pregnant right now, and it's a possibility that it's Ladarius' baby or your baby. DeMarcus told me to come home.
So you got back together with Mr. Patterson?
Because me and Ladarius were like oil and water, and we could not do it. So I told and begged DeMarcus. I didn't beg him. I said, DeMarcus, come get me. And DeMarcus pulled up in the car and was like, where's your stuff? He carried my stuff on his back and got in the car, and we went on about our way.
Accusations start flying about the courtroom like it's a competition. They go on making a fuss about what to name the baby. It turns into a whole charade, and no one can make any sense of what's going on. Ms. Knight told the courtroom that when the baby was born, Mr. Patterson looked the baby in the eye and said the baby looked exactly like him, and therefore was going to name the child after him.
The baby in the eyes, I was like, dang, he just completely be quiet, just quit crying, everything, like he was at peace. And I looked at him, and that's when the doctors left the room. She was like, what name should we give him? I was like, oh no. She said I always wanted a junior, and I was like, you'll do that? And then that's when the name came about, DeMarcus Latarius Patterson Jr.
Well, when you tell this woman I've always wanted a junior,
he ain't say that.
I ain't really get to pick the name, because remember, it's always up to the woman to pick the name.
Please,
Put whatever.
DeMarcus said, I don't care what you think, this is my baby.
There's a whole lot of craziness going on right now. As things Judge Lauren starts to dig a little deeper, she starts to find out the most shocking shocking things. And when I say shocking, trust me, your jaws are going to drop. Apparently, both Mr. Patterson and Ms. Knight were open about the fact that the baby could be the man she was messing with. They even agreed that there were several occasions where they joked about it. Now, could you imagine that?
Oh, so you all were open about this?
Yes, we were always open. We would take rides to the gas station. He'd show me pictures of Ladarius, like, you sure this ain't this? You sure this ain't
I ain't gonna lie. First,
and we were open about it, all very open about it.
I started seeing his ears slant out, and I was like, hold up, you know? Just like, I don't know, though.
But he's 4 now.
He's 4 now, so I look at
and
it now.
And the conversation about DNA tests, this is not the first time I brought it up. I done stayed appointments. No one wants to help me with half the payment.
I help you with that. Now, it's just, I know you evil.
Their stories stopped to make sense and add up. It sounded like it was being made up, and Judge Lauren just wasn't having it anymore. It was getting really hard to believe or determine who was being honest in the courtroom, and one thing was for sure, Judge Lauren wasn't going to be made a fool of.
We are a big, happy family. I don't know why you pretend.
Oh, so this is a whole village.
Hey, to be honest,
no, I'm serious.
Hey. We eat this as a family and all.
All of you all together.
We never had no problem. The reason why in my head I strongly wanted DeMarcus to be the biological father was because they told me I got pregnant August 28th through the 2nd, or the 3rd of September. I was with DeMarcus August 28th, but by the 2nd of September, I was with Ladarius, so I didn't know.
It was finally time to hear from the other men, because Judge Lauren needed to hear all the sides of the story. Now, this is where it all gets really messed up. When I say messed up, I mean really, really messed up. The 4-year-old boy calls both men daddy. How does a kid call 2 different men daddy? This really is a baby daddy war.
He do look at both of us like fathers.
Does he call you daddy too?
Yes, ma'am.
So the child is calling 2 men daddy?
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. DeMarcus, I don't care how he acted. After this, when you find out he ain't the daddy, he ain't going nowhere.
You think that, man.
Listen, I want to know from Mr. Sigler, what are your hopes, sir? Do you hope DeMarcus Jr. is your biological child?
The love that I have for him is the same love that he has for me. I know one thing about this young man.
Hold your breath now, because the DNA test results are ready to be revealed. The tension was escalating with emotions running high, and the truth was about to hit like a plot twist. Who's the real baby daddy? Let's see.
The biological father is Mr. Sigler. You are DJ's biological father, Mr. What do you feel right now?
Hurt. Could have been avoided.
It could have been avoided.
I love that little boy right there. I know he's gonna be happy. You bring him out right now, he's gonna run straight to me.
This wasn't their first rodeo in Judge Lauren's courtroom. Ms. Austin was in court to prove that Mr. Wallace was definitely the father of her child, and she needed him to start taking more responsibility in being a father. Mr. Wallace, on the other hand, wasn't ready to believe any of that. He had a serious level of doubt that he couldn't be the father of the child in question.
This is your 3rd time here in our courtroom with Mr. Wallace and Ms. Roberts. Previously, you were here because Mr. Wallace questioned the paternity of your other child, but now you find yourself in the same situation. Today, you say you need to prove to Mr. Wallace that he is the father of your 9-month-old son, Ronell, so that he can begin to step up and be a father.
Judge Lauren wasn't going to hide the fact that she was pretty upset to see them back in that courtroom. The first few minutes before she dived into the case felt like a scolding session for Mr. Wallace, Ms. Austin, and Mr. Wallace's finance. I honestly wouldn't want to be in their shoes, believe me.
And the baby could potentially be yours?
Yes.
Because let me just say something, because last time I talked to you on the phone, you know I called you one day. You had your kids, you sounded so happy, you sound like you were on the right track, you said you had your kids and you all were having a great day, and I have been talking about you nonstop since then. When people ask me some of the cases that mean the most to me, you're one of the people, and so I have to say before I even start today, I'm so mad you all back up in here.
It was almost impossible to believe that this was the 3rd time this set of individuals was coming back to the courtroom to resolve the same case. As I said, it felt like a scolding session in the courtroom, and the judge was pretty disappointed in Ms. Austin because she was pregnant with her 3rd baby for Mr. Wallace. Would you imagine that?
Since the last time we was here, everything started out okay, but we all knew that wasn't gonna last long. Ronell Wallace was still bouncing back from me and Kendrelyn. I had enrolled in school, but I never did go because I had got pregnant once again with Ronell. And she got pregnant with her baby, with her son. And as you can see now, once again, I'm pregnant again with my 3rd baby.
First of all, I don't know if it's because you're nervous, Miss Austin, which, look, I wouldn't blame you if you were.
Now, Mr. Wallace had been going back and forth with both Ms. Austin and Ms. Robert, who happened to be his fiancée. The crazy thing was, he got both of these women pregnant on several different occasions. Now, if you've been having frequent sex with a particular woman and she's been having your babies, why doubt the paternity of her child when she gets pregnant for you again?
Because she's very promiscuous. When we was together, I had installed, it was like spyware on her phone. It's what They would duplicate her text messages and call log and send a copy to my email. And again, for about the 5th, 6th time, I called her texting different men.
Well, where your proof at?
You saying that didn't happen?
Where your proof at? I never saw it.
Mr. Wallace claimed he had heavy doubt that the baby could not be his because Ms. Austin was a very promiscuous woman. At least so he claimed. Trust me, he was pretty confident that she had been messing with other men. Ms. Austin wasn't going to stand and watch him talk silly about her. She was ready to drag him like a hungry lioness.
You believe she was sleeping around?
If I'm dead, so why you keep on sleeping with me? Why? 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 I'm pregnant again. Why? 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 Why?
Easy access.
Why? You say that about
All
her,
right.
yeah. So
Why
now,
do you keep allowing me to sleep
I'm
with
gonna
you?
keep on just because I know that you with her. She's
So
allowed.
I don't have nothing to do with that.
Yes,
If you
you
can
do.
sleep with somebody else,
Yes,
man,
you
then
do.
you got low
I know you're not talking.
Ladies,
I know you
guys want to hear the...
Ms. Austin and Ms. Robert were going to rip each other's throat out in the courtroom. To avoid that kind of violence, Ms. Robert had to be removed. Now the argument about the looks and resemblance of the child in question came up, and Mr. Wallace felt like the baby looked like him in a way. But he wasn't going to base any of that as enough proof to be the father of the child. But Ms. Austin had evidence to counter his argument.
I feel like we have certain features, but you can't just base it all off look.
They have the same chin.
Let me see that. Is that evidence you'd like to present?
Yes.
Okay. Walk me through what these pieces of evidence are. The first piece is...
The chin. You see that chin? Look at their feet.
So you say their feet are alike?
Yeah.
But they don't change your mind?
No, ma'am. It's just like you go to a police lineup. They put you in there with 6 other men who look just like you.
You could see that Ms. Austin had been through a lot with Mr. Wallace, and at this point, she just wanted to be done with him. He wasn't showing her any support for the children, and it was just heartbreaking for her to take care of the kids while she was pregnant with his baby again. It sure looks like Mr. Wallace is one heartless man, if you ask me.
The problem is because he said he didn't want to stay with Kinsley anymore. He wanted us to be back a family. And I did what I had to do to move into the apartment, Your Honor. I do everything for him. I stood by his side when he had his apartment. He went through a lot, and I was there by his side. Never left, and I could have left. I could have walked away. I had a family, like.
Well, it's finally time to unveil the truth after so many lies and deceptions. The day of reckoning is finally here, with everyone itching to know the truth. Are you ready to find out? I bet you are, so take a deep breath, because here it comes.
Mr. Wallace, you are Ronell's father. I want to get you all some help. I have joining me today via Skype a gentleman by the name of Mr. Wright. Now, he's a social worker in Chicago, your hometown, based right there. Thank you so much for joining us today.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, grab your popcorn and get comfy because things are about to get real. Miss Fisher claims that her mother, Miss Johnson, raised her without ever revealing who her biological father really is. Can you believe it? How can you not know who your own daddy is?
Keeping all of this away from you and having to come out like this.
You voluntarily said, I am the father?
I always felt she was my daughter.
You said you deceived both of them.
You're admitting you just made a huge mistake.
If you have kids, listen to them. They're trying to tell you something. Who's the father?
I deserve to know who my father is.
There is a lot out.
Don't block them out and don't ignore it. Deal with it. Wow.
Hello, Your Honor. But wait, it gets even crazier. Miss Fisher's mother had not one, but 2 potential fathers. Talk about a complicated love triangle.
That answer because both men have been tested and we will meet them shortly. Now, Ms. Johnson, you argue that you've always had doubts about your both fathers have taken part in her life. You feel should just be grateful for what. Ms. Fisher, tell us, why do you disagree with your mother's position?
Miss Fisher is determined to find out the truth, and who can blame her? She's been living in the dark for far too long. It's time to shine a light on this paternity mystery. Miss Fisher grew up believing that Mr. Fisher was her father. Can you imagine finding out at the age of 10 that there might be someone else out there who could be your dad? What a bombshell.
At 10 years old, John comes around and
that's Mr. Fisher.
Mr. Fisher. He comes around to a birthday party and she says, "This is your goddad." About 2 weeks into that, he's coming, picking me up for little day-to-day outings, but I can't understand it as a 10-year-old child. Until 2 months after that, she tell me that this is my dad. As a 3rd grade, over the internet.
Wait a minute.
And get this, folks. Miss Fisher's mom didn't just drop this bombshell on her out of the blue. No. She casually introduced Mr. Fisher as her goddad first. Can you believe that?
Evidence?
Yes, he went down there and got my last name changed. My last name was Burks. He changed it to Fisher. And this, she said she didn't know, but she had to be there.
Well, I was there to get the name changed. Exactly. This is how it all came about.
So this is your birth certificate. It originally had one man, man's name, and now it's been changed to Fisher.
And I feel like I shouldn't
With
have.
John.
I mean, seriously, who does that? Hey, honey, this is your goddad. But oh, by the way, he might actually be your real dad. What a way to confuse a poor kid. But the plot thickens, my friends. Miss Fisher's mom even went as far as changing her last name to Fisher without her knowledge. Can you imagine finding out your name has been changed over the school intercom? Talk about a shocker.
Saying that when she was with him one time and backdating to my conception date, here you go.
How do you know how many times I was with somebody?
Because you said you was with him one time.
So let me take a look. You prepared a calendar that outlines
the conception of my year of when she would have got.
So in yellow, the dates are highlighted where your mom was intimate.
Now let's meet the two potential fathers, Mr. Fisher and Mr. Triplett. Buckle up because things are about to get even more complicated. Mr. Fisher claims that he always believed Miss Fisher was his daughter. He even saw her as a baby and had that special connection. But why didn't Miss Johnson ever explicitly tell him? The suspense is suffocating.
What they were told and what they know, because this is confusing, Miss Fisher.
Especially
I'm
for her.
confused right with you. Hello, sir.
Hello, Judge.
Now, Mr. Fisher,
Yes, ma'am.
you now contend that this beautiful young lady, Miss Fisher, is your daughter.
Yes.
But for the first 10 years of her life, you weren't there.
I was there, but I wasn't there to walk her through her way as a young woman.
On the other hand, we have Mr. Triplett, who lived with Miss Johnson for 7 years and believed Miss Fisher was his daughter all along. Can you imagine the shock when he found out he might not be her biological father?
Me and Cal. I'm sorry for keeping all of this away from you and having to come out like this.
You're admitting you just made a huge mistake.
If you have kids, listen to them. They're trying to tell you something.
You don't really know which one is truly your biological father.
Before we get to the results, let's take a moment to appreciate Miss Fisher's courage and determination. She's been searching for the truth for so long, and now it's finally within her grasp. But will she finally know the truth, or will it slip away again?
Saying you were not attempting to get child support from two men at the same time for one child.
It was very upsetting to hear that.
You don't really know which one is truly your biological father.
If you have kids, listen to them. They're trying to tell you something.
There is a lot of doubt here.
The tension is building, folks. It's time to reveal the results and put an end to this paternity mystery once and for all. It's time for Miss Fisher to find out who her real father is and start building that father-daughter relationship she'd been longing for. Will it be Mr. Fisher, who has always believed he was her father? Or will it be Mr. Triplett, who lived with Miss Johnson for years and thought he was her dad? The moment of truth is here.
That her father is Mr. Triplett.
I still love you, baby. Don't nothing change, Cal. You've been down here this long, man.
Yes.
Are you happy today? You said that you wanted her to be your daughter.
Yes, I always thought she was. Me and Mary had just had a baby the year before. And like I said, we were living together 7 years.
Miss Percival Hansen has spent the last 31 years of her life desperately seeking acceptance from her father. But here's the twist. Mr. Hansen, the alleged dad, is having none of it. He's claiming he never slept with Miss Percival's mother, and there's no way she could be his daughter. Oh boy, this is gonna be good.
No, she existed.
He told me your mother was a whore and sleeping with somebody else in the backseat of a car.
He is the father.
She don't even look like me. Damn drama queen.
I went to older guys looking for the void that my mother never gave me. You not being there has affected me more than you know.
I know for a fact you're not my daughter.
I need answers.
Get the test out and we'll prove it.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is the case of Percival Hansen versus Hansen.
But wait, there's more. Just when you thought things couldn't get any messier, another young woman and her mother enter the courtroom, claiming that Mr. Hansen is her father too. Talk about a bombshell. Now we've got two women fighting for the same man's attention. This is like a real-life soap opera, folks.
Mr. Hansen, you claim time she was conceived and there is a daughter. Additionally, there is yet another young woman waiting outside of the courtroom claiming Mr. Hansen is her father. She will be joining us shortly by her mother. With the court, why you feel Miss
Percival steps up to the podium and she's not holding back. She tells the court how her father has rejected her entire life, refusing to take a DNA test and denying her existence. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. But Mr. Hansen isn't backing down either. He's confident that he never cheated on his wife and that there's no way Miss Percival could be his daughter. Palpable, and we're just getting started.
Why is it you deny her?
I was married with another woman at the time. There's no way. Me and the other woman that I was in a relationship with was having a baby, and I don't cheat. When I'm with somebody, I stay with somebody. I just got out of a 20-year marriage. I was with the woman 20 years, never cheated on her.
You're in a marriage.
Yes.
And You say you never cheated on your wife.
Yeah, that's right.
Now it's time for Ms. Villepando to take the stand. She spills the tea, revealing that she was indeed intimate with Mr. Hansen while he was still married. Oh, the plot thickens. And guess what? She even drops a bombshell of her own, claiming that Mr. Hansen called Ms. Percival's mother a whore. Yikes, things just went from bad to worse.
I was 6 years old.
At 6 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
And from that point on, you had in your mind, this is your father. But he's never established a real relationship with you.
No, I barely met him personally 2 months ago at Teresa's house.
My other daughter, which that's a 50-50 chance too. That's a different story.
Oh, and there's another surprise in store. Mr. Hansen's ex-wife and the daughter she had with him enter the courtroom. This is like a full-blown family reunion, folks. Ms. Merchant, the ex-wife, wastes no time in declaring that she knew Ms. Percival was her husband's daughter from the moment she was born. Oh, the drama is off the charts.
That's a lie. I was never with her after we split up after our first daughter was born.
Miss Percival, let me ask you, did you know Mr. Hansen growing up?
No, ma'am. He wasn't even in my sister Jessica's life. He took off.
No, I didn't take off.
Oh, yes,
I was refused to see my daughter.
No, you refused
But I
yourself.
never got to, I didn't even know she was yeah, that was through my other brother.
Now it's time for the moment of truth. The first set of DNA test results are in, and the tension in the courtroom is unbearable. Will Mr. Hansen be proven wrong, or will he have to face the consequences of his actions?
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
I can't wait for the child support.
Huh?
Hold on 1 second before you say what you have to say. State your name for the court.
Tracy Merchant.
You're Ms. Merchant, and your name?
I'm Tracy Hansen.
All right. So, Ms. Merchant, you were married to Mr. Hansen.
Yes.
At the time that Miss Percival was conceived.
Yes, I knew that she was born. I knew she was his when she was born.
All right, folks, here it is. The results are in, and Mr. Hansen, you are the father of Ms. Hansen. Oh, snap. The courtroom erupts in cheers, and Ms. Percival finally gets the validation she's been seeking for all these years. This is a moment that will go down in paternity court history, but we're not done yet.
You knew this was your father, and he never said he denied you were his child. You just felt like he didn't treat you.
No, he did tell me that he thought that my uncle or somebody in the family was my biological father.
When did he tell you this?
Could be, I said.
Probably
when you were 11. So you grew up not knowing your father.
There's still one more result to reveal. The tension is still thick in the air as the judge announces that it's time to determine the paternity of Ms. Percival. Will Mr. Hansen's doubts be proven right, or will he have to face the consequences of his actions once again? Let's find out.
Mr. Hansen, you are her father.
No,
yeah.
I love you too. Thank you, Your Honor.
You're most certainly welcome. You seem relieved, Mr. Hansen.
Yes, that's the only one I was worried about. I apologize. I don't mean to be inconsiderate or ruthless.
Buckle up, folks, because in today's episode, we have Mr. Campbell going head-to-head with his ex-girlfriend, Miss McKeer. And let me tell you, this case is a roller coaster ride of emotions and accusations. Get ready for the drama to unfold.
I saw her in her bra and panties in the room with another man. He was sitting on the edge of that bed.
No, he wasn't. He was sitting on the bench.
He was afraid. He was terrified.
He was
when
not
he seen me walk in that room.
He was terrified.
He was terrified.
Jerome, are you terrified of Mr. Campbell?
Ooh. I told you on multiple occasions that we do not have to have a relationship.
All right.
That's not what you said last night.
Mr. Campbell storms into the courtroom like a hurricane. He's accusing Miss McKeer of being a gold digger and a cheater. Oh, the drama is already off the charts. And we're just getting started. This is going to be one wild ride.
Whose goal is to pin her 9-month-old son legacy on you for her own personal gain. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. McSeer, you say Mr. Campbell is a compulsive liar who's denying your son out of spite because you no longer want to be with him. You claim to know exactly when and where your son was conceived, and you intend to prove paternity today. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Picture this, folks. Mr. Campbell barges into Miss McKeer's house and catches her in her bra and panties with another man. Oh, the scandal. The tension in that room must have been thicker than molasses. This case is heating up faster than a hot potato.
You expect me to think we're in an exclusive relationship?
Any proof of this?
That makes no sense.
Any proof of this?
You know it's the truth.
This is part of your habitual lying.
You know it's the truth, Mariah.
Not at all.
One day she went out and I saw her in her bra and panties in the room with another man.
When I came to the house, I came to come get some stuff, and when I came to that house, there was a random car sitting in that driveway.
Mr. Campbell claims he's seen Miss McKeer talking to different men and even sending them explicit pictures. Talk about a plot twist. The drama just keeps on coming, and we're here for every juicy detail.
Your Honor, she is known for sleeping with married men. She is known for that. She is known for being a home wrecker. She is known for breaking up happy homes. That's the type of person that she is, Your Honor.
Really?
She says I'm the compulsive liar, but no, she's the compulsive liar.
You're definitely the compulsive liar.
She's the compulsive liar.
You say Ms. McSear was at her house with her shirt off with another man, and she admits it. So you come in there and what happened?
Hold on to your hats, folks, because Miss McKeer drops a bombshell. She says she knows exactly when she conceived her son, Legacy, and it was during Hurricane Irma. Can you believe it? When the lights were out and the storm was raging, love found a way. This case is as stormy as that night.
So you had heard that she would be with married men?
Yes.
Okay, and then you believe one of them could potentially be Legacy's biological father.
Yes,
I know when I conceived. I know when I conceived.
So you say you know when you conceived?
Yes, Your Honor.
How do you know this, Miss McSear?
Because in September of 2017, Hurricane Irma hit. At that time, we were staying together.
Mr. Campbell comes prepared with some spicy evidence. He shows the court pictures of not one, not two, but 4 different men. He holding Legacy, 4 people. And guess what? None of them are him. Oh, the suspense is killing us. Who's the real baby daddy? This case is turning into a game of musical chairs.
With me and my kids.
Because I had money, and that's all you wanted. You
got so much money, but no stability. Sounds real. Sounds like a person I want to pin a baby on.
Because no, you took everything from me.
Okay.
So, Ms. McSear, I want to be clear. That was the week you say you conceived, and you remember it because of the hurricane.
Yes, Your Honor.
Let's see if we can confirm that. So, first, I want to look up the date of this hurricane to see if you know what you're talking about.
Brace yourselves, folks, because this case just took a wild turn. Mr. Campbell claims he heard through the grapevine that Miss McKeer had a paternity test done with another man. What? Is this true? Did she really doubt Mr. Campbell's paternity? The tension is through the roof.
Sears bed.
Yes, Your Honor, I do remember that, yes.
Okay.
I do remember. But the conception time, it doesn't add up, Your Honor.
Why doesn't it add up to you? Explain.
She told me she got pregnant around the end of September, not the beginning.
Lucky for you all, I have my conception calculator, and we can get down to the bottom of that, too.
The courtroom is a battlefield as Mr. Campbell and Miss McKeer face off. Accusations are flying left and right, and the drama is reaching its boiling point. It's a verbal showdown of epic proportions. This case has more twists and turns than a pretzel factory, and we just got to the final twist, the DNA test results.
Mr. Campbell, you are the father. You're the father. That is your beautiful baby. Why does it make you feel so emotional?
Because she won't let me be in his life. Like, she hates me so much. That's why I cry. Because, like, I want to be in my son's life, like my dad was in my life.
In this episode, we meet Mr. Quarrels, a man who claims he's been paying child support for a child he's convinced is not his. Can you imagine the financial shambles he's in? I mean, his checks are only $40 to $50 every 2 weeks. Woo, that's rough.
So you didn't have all morals when you was opening your legs.
You put him on child support.
Yes, ma'am.
How do I get put on child support? I ain't signed no birth certificate. I ain't doing,
You don't pay your child support, you can go to jail.
They might just send me to jail for 6 months.
It's his.
It was just a one-night stand.
You asked the court to administer a lie detector test?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you intimate with any other person?
Not that I can recall.
What did you say, Miss Forrester?
But hold on tight, folks, because Ms. Forrester, the child's mother, is 100% certain that Mr. Quarrels is the father. She even put him on child support, and they've been fighting about it ever since. Talk about a messy situation.
To a one-night stand, you are now in financial shambles caused by child support for a child you don't believe is yours.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Forrester, you initially claimed Mr. Quarrels was not your daughter's father, but you are 100% certain that he is. And when proven, you expect him to financially support her.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Quarrels, explain to me, how has this child support issue?
Now get this. Mr. Quarrels claims he never even knew he was put on child support until a letter arrived at his old house. Can you believe it? How does that even happen? And to top it off, he wasn't even on the birth certificate.
He just stated that I had to go to court. I never knew that. It was a month later. The next thing I know, I'm getting put on child support. I just want to know, how do they do that? I mean, how do you not, you're not sure for something because it was, the mail went to somewhere, to the other house. But how do I get put on child support? And I I ain't signed no birth certificate. I ain't doing, I mean.
Well, you were named the father by default because you didn't show up to court.
So Ms. Forrester initially told everyone, including Mr. Quarrels' wife, that he wasn't the father. Oh boy, talk about a tangled web of lies and deceit. This case is heating up, folks.
Take child support from your check. They garnished your wages. That's how it happens. Did you appear in court ever?
Yeah.
Did you request a DNA test?
Yes.
And you were what, denied?
Denied.
He didn't request a DNA test till 2 years ago. Because I asked the child support for a DNA test. They said no, that he has to be the one to ask for it.
Are you up to date on this child support?
No, ma'am.
No.
You don't make enough money to pay this child support.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about their relationship. Mr. Quarrels and Ms. Forrester were co-workers, and things started to get a little spicy when he flirted with her and asked for her phone number. Ooh la la! Can you feel the drama building?
How often were you having sex with her?
It was just a one-night stand, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
One time.
It was not, ma'am. I took a lie detector test.
Wait, you're saying that it was more than one time?
Yes, ma'am.
And you asked the court to administer a lie detector test?
Yes, ma'am.
Jerome, do we have those results?
Yes, we do.
So you volunteered for a lie detector test because you say you had sex with him more than once?
Yes, ma'am.
And guess what? Courtroom commentators. They didn't just have a one-night stand. Nope, it went on for 3 whole months. Oh, the plot thickens. But here's the kicker. Mr. Quarrels claims it was only a one-time thing. Who's telling the truth here?
You said yes, and the lie detector determined that was the truth. Mr. Quarrels, maybe you need to rethink this relationship.
She may not know who she was sleeping with and just called them all year, since she's saying she only was with one black man, but other black men at the same job.
To settle the score, Mr. Quarrels took a lie detector test to prove that he only had sex with Ms. Forrester once. Can you believe it? The results are in, and we're in for a shocker. Ms. Forrester's told everyone, including Mr. Quarrels' wife, that he was the father. Oh, the drama. But when confronted, she denied it. What a roller coaster of emotions.
What was his response?
First.
No, I told Yuri first. He came over that night and I showed him 5 different pregnancy tests.
No, that's a lie.
And you told him?
I told him that I was pregnant, and he said that he takes care of his, not to worry.
No, the whole workplace, she's going around telling everybody that I'm the father, and that's how she found out. She told me that I was the baby's father.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment of truth. The lie detector results are in, and let me tell you, it's about to get real. Drum roll, please.
At your job?
At my job.
Why did you lie to her when she asked you point blank, is this child Mr. Quarrels?
I didn't want to break up their relationship.
But you could sleep with him.
Guess what? It's a two-way street.
She says she overheard you saying to someone that it was not his child.
That's not true.
I don't have to get up here and lie. It's a kid involved.
Exactly.
In the case of Quarrels versus Forrester,
the lie detector determined that Ms. Forrester was telling the truth when she said she had slept with Mr. Quarrels more than once. Can you believe it? The plot just thickened and the drama floodgates were open.
He is biracial.
Yeah, yes.
Okay, so that's why you keep trying to pinpoint some other black guy. Why did you lie to her when she asked you point blank, is this child Mr. Quarrels?
I didn't want to break up their relationship.
But you could sleep with him.
He slept with me. Guess what? It's a two-way street.
But hold on to your seats, folks, because Mr. Quarrels still insists that it was only a one-night stand. Oh, the tension is palpable. Who's telling the truth? We're about to find out.
I didn't want to hurt your feelings either. You seem like a pretty nice lady. Why would I want to say he was sleeping with me?
And again, if I'm a nice lady.
I said you seem like a nice lady.
How do you have morals all of a sudden? So you didn't have morals when you was opening your legs, but
he can't have morals when he's sleeping with me. He has no morals.
But let me ask you this, Ms. Forrester. So since you worked together, when you started sleeping with him, you knew they were in a relationship?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let's bring in Mr. Quarrels' mother, who overheard Ms. Forrester saying it might not be her son's child. Can you imagine the shock and disbelief? This case just keeps getting crazier by the minute.
Yes, because you have so much money that I want, Mr. Quarrels.
I'm telling you.
What money is this?
I mean,
at the time he was in a record deal, and
really, I didn't know he was in a record deal. That's not why I slept with him. That's for sure.
While you're having this child, is Mr. Quarrels helping you, participating in the pregnancy? Was he there at the birth?
No.
Nothing.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA test results are in, and this is where the rubber meets the road. Judge Lake has the envelope in her hands, and we're about to get some answers.
Mr. Quarrels, you are the father.
Well, Well, it makes me happy. I would like to see her. I have like visitation rights, everything.
No.
What did you say, Miss Forrester?
I said no.
So now you don't want them to be a part of your child's life?
My daughter's 4. She has a dad.
All right, folks, let's meet our main players in this courtroom drama. We've got Mr. Johnson, who thought he was the father of little Dakari, and Miss Owens, who initially led Mr. Johnson to believe he was the daddy. But hold on tight, because things are about to take a wild turn.
You say to yourself, oh my goodness, this could be my child's father that passed away.
It was never in my mind that he was my baby daddy. This little fella was in my mind.
How could you not think that he could have been your baby's father?
I remember this. Pipe down, little one.
You had sex, so how could that not be in your mind?
Sit, doggy.
How could that not be in your mind?
Both of you look like a fool. And a child sitting up here and don't know if his father's here or in a grave. You clowning.
Hello, Your Honor. This is a case of Johnson versus Owens.
Thank you, Jerome.
You're welcome.
So, it turns out Miss Owens had a little secret she was keeping from Mr. Johnson. She slept with another man, Mr. Tyson, around the time of conception. But here's the kicker. Mr. Tyson is now deceased. Can you believe it? Talk about a plot twist. Now, Miss Owens wants Mr. Tyson's family members to take a DNA test to determine if he is the real father. Drama, drama, drama.
But you recently learned that Miss Owens slept with another man who is now deceased around the time of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Owens, you claim that at the time you were pregnant, you believed the baby was Mr. Johnson's, but as he got older, you were worried that he looked like Mr. Tyson.
Oh boy, tensions are running high in this courtroom. Mr. Johnson is feeling betrayed, claiming Miss Owens misled him about being the father. And Miss Owens, well, she's not holding back either. These two are going at it like cats and dogs, folks.
Hoping that it is her grandchild because her son is. I don't want him to be the father of my child because he's not going to be a father anyway.
So, Mr. Johnson, why is this so important to you?
Well, I feel like I've been misled, you know? It's telling me, you know, 1 minute that, oh yeah, you're the father. Then the next minute she's telling me,
you lying.
Ms. Owens, did you tell him at any point?
Just when you thought things couldn't get any crazier, in walks Mr. Tyson's mother, Ms. Tyson. She's here to find out if little Dakari is her grandchild. Talk about a heartfelt moment. We can't wait to see how this all unfolds.
We had this discussion.
Yes.
The baby got a little older. You felt like he started looking like the other potential father, and so you had a heart-to-heart. You all put it all on the table.
He knew that I slept with Dwayne. That ain't no secret.
Yeah, I didn't know before you told me though.
Ms. Owens, you submitted to the court split-screen images of Mr. Johnson and your son Dakari. And then you also submitted a picture.
The judge is not messing around today, folks. She's laying down the law and demanding some order in this courtroom. And honestly, with all the shouting and name-calling, it's about time someone put a stop to it. Let's see if the judge can bring some sanity to this chaotic situation.
And it was at this point you determined maybe Mr. Tyson could be the father.
Knew that all along though. That's the whole point. I'm trying.
No, I did not.
At some point, you two were in a relationship, am I correct? The hospital. Mr. Johnson was at the hospital.
And I paid for him to come to the hospital. I bought his ticket. I paid for him to come back.
All right, folks, it's time for the moment we've all been waiting for. The DNA results are in. Will Mr. Johnson be the father? Or will it be the deceased Mr. Tyson? Will Mr. Johnson finally get the answer he's been waiting for? Will Miss Owens find closure for herself and Mr. Tyson's family? We're about to find out, folks.
Mr. Johnson, you are not his father.
There it is, right there. I already knew it from the beginning though, man. All thing she had to do was come out and tell me, you know?
I have the next set of results here. The probability of relatedness is 99.99%.